Good morning and welcome back to Planet Doug Behind the Scenes for Saturday, September 27th, 2025. It's 9 o'clock in the morning and I'm here inside my room at the Hotel Raja Boat in Kuala Lumpur in the Chao Kit district. And I'm going to start today's Behind the Scenes by reading an update that I posted to Patreon and to YouTube posts. For people who don't have time to read all of that, would rather have the update in video form, I thought, why not? I already wrote it all down, now I can read it on video. So, the title, Update, Plans for Cycling, Meeting Up with Jamie, and Lazada Delivery Adventures. Thursday, September 26, 2025, 8:14 a.m., room 211, Hotel Raja Boat, Chao Kit, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I did my best to get a good night of sleep last night. It wasn't easy, and I had to incorporate every technique under the sun. But I think I slept enough to have gas in my tank today. And I woke up to some amazing news. A Planet Doug subscriber and supporter made a substantial donation to Planet Doug this morning via Touch and Go, earmarked for my upcoming bicycle trip around Malaysia. He did suggest at one point that with the possibility of bad weather and the amount of time needed to cycle, I might be better off simply picking 4 cities in which to base myself and then traveling by bus to those places and exploring the city and region in other ways. I could do that perhaps, but a lot of wheels have been in motion with the plan to cycle, so I should probably at least start on 2 wheels and see how it goes. I'm not such a committed cyclist that I must ride every kilometer. I'm all about whatever form of transportation is best depending on the circumstances. But my bicycle is waiting for me down in Port Dickson, and when I last saw it, it was ready to go. So the plan is to head down there in the next few days, spend a day getting things organized, and then pedal towards Malacca as my first stop. Of course, Malacca is not far from Port Dickson. A person in good cycling shape could do that ride in one day, but I will definitely go slower than that. Perhaps I can even circle inland away from the coast at one point to stretch out the cycling and stretch my legs. I haven't made specific plans yet. One issue is that once I put feet to pedals, I won't have the full 90 days of my Malaysian social visit pass anymore. I used up a good chunk of those 90 days with editing videos from Sumatra, getting my passport renewed, car riding on the Malaysia Mystery Tour, and now editing videos from the Mystery Tour. In fact, my current social visit pass for Malaysia expires on November 13th, leaving me essentially the month of October and then 11 days in November, or 13 days in November. For normal people doing normal things, that is a lot of time. On Planet Doug, time works differently, and anything less than 3 months or 6 months feels too short. And since I don't have 3 months or 6 months, I have to plan my route and activities such that I'm able to easily leave Malaysia by land, sea, or air mid-cycle trip and then hopefully return with a recharged visit pass. I guess that's not a real issue. I was thinking that it would be nice to be at a land border and just cycle across to Singapore or to Thailand. However, the border with Singapore is too close and the one with Thailand is too far. But there's no need to get hooked on that idea. When the time comes, I can find a way to zip to Kuala Lumpur and out to the airport. Another logistical issue is that I now have 2 passports. The old one is invalid, of course. I can't use it to exit the country or enter any other country. However, I entered Malaysia on that old passport, and that passport number is the one on record with Malaysian immigration. That old cancelled passport also has the entry stamp for Malaysia on its final page. Therefore, I have to somehow present both my old passport and my current one and have the relevant authorities transfer the information and update my online immigration record with my new passport number. I remember doing this long ago, also in Malaysia, I think, and I simply presented both passports at immigration while leaving the country. And I think it was fine, but I also remember it being a bit complicated, and people didn't seem to know what to do. They took me into a separate room and did all kinds of mysterious things on various computers amidst much discussion. And I got the feeling that there might have been a better or more efficient way to get this done. I've done some research on this topic, but as you might expect, all the information I found is contradictory. Even my AI buddies disagree. One AI scoured the internet and told me that I have to go to Putrajaya and go to the immigration offices in advance to get this done. But my other AI buddies said there was no need and that I just need to hand over the two passports together at the airport or other border crossing, and they take care of it on the spot. I'm leaning toward believing that I can just do this at the airport when I fly out. That would be the easiest option. I do not want to get lost in the world of bureaucracy and make several trips out to Putrajaya, making various appointments and being sent from one office to another. I can easily see that futile project using up a week of my life. And surely, it's not unusual for people to get a new passport while inside Malaysia or any other foreign country. Surely I'm not the first person in history to do this, and the immigration people at KLIA and elsewhere have been faced with this situation many times. There should be a system in place to deal with this. I just have to make sure to go to the airport or dock or land border early to allow lots of time for this transfer process, whatever it turns out to be. In any event, there's no need to worry overly about these things right now. Much of this kind of thing just becomes clear over time. I don't want to plan my life to a degree that I have a rigid schedule demanding that I be at this or that place on a specific date. I could do that, but circumstances will change and I will likely do something else anyway. It's just something I need to be aware of, that before my cycling trip is over, I will likely have to somehow leave Malaysia and hopefully come back in. For now, I need to focus on the tasks and opportunities that are right in front of me. Yesterday was an interesting day in that a friend from the United States, Jamie, flew into Malaysia. I met Jamie years ago here in Kuala Lumpur through my YouTube channel. Jamie was on one of his regular trips around the world, and in researching what to do in Malaysia, he came across my YouTube channel. And he reached out and offered to buy me a coffee when he got to Kuala Lumpur if I happened to be here. A hot cup of coffee is the fastest way to my heart, and Jamie and I ended up meeting over coffee, having a great chat, and we explored some of Kuala Lumpur together. Since then, Jamie has become part of my regular circle of YouTube-related friends that either live in Malaysia or drift in and out. I must admit that I had trouble keeping track of the exact dates of Jamie's arrival. I'd known he was coming to Malaysia for months. He normally has flights booked months in advance because he is 1,000 times smarter than I am, and he plans ahead that way in order to get the cheapest fares. But my brain is so consumed with GoPros and shooting and editing YouTube videos that I often lose track of time and people. In fact, another member of my YouTube social group, Bill, aka the International Big Shot, was in Kuala Lumpur already and had been for several days, and I didn't even know he was here. Losing track of Bill wasn't entirely my fault, I feel I should point out. I lost touch with him when I recently lost my WhatsApp account and all my contacts in it. I was able to reconnect with a lot of people, but I had no way to contact Bill outside of WhatsApp, and with WhatsApp gone, he was gone with it. I found out that Bill was in Kuala Lumpur because Daryl, from Wander Eats, told me. Daryl is a master at keeping in touch with people. He is something of a people collector, and he is so much better at communicating than I am. In this case, Jamie had been sending me regular updates on his travels, and I knew he was arriving in Kuala Lumpur on September 25th. My plan was to already be in Port Dickson by then, but with it requiring more time to edit my mystery tour videos than I anticipated, I decided to extend my stay in KL to be here for his arrival. And we arranged things such that I would meet him at a coffee shop at KL Sentral when he takes the airport bus in from KLIA. His flight landed around 6 a.m. and he would take the first available airport bus, and that would get him to KL Sentral around 9 a.m. when coffee shops would be opening. The whole thing was arranged, and I would simply hop on the monorail out of Chow Kit and zip down to KL Sentral to meet Jamie there. One problem is that I had somehow gotten it into my head that September 25th was on Friday. I planned my whole week around that date and time. Luckily, Jamie reached out to confirm our arrangements one last time, and in his message, he made it clear he was arriving the very next morning, which was a Thursday. I was off by an entire day. Luckily, other people keep track of things better than I do. My idea was to go to sleep early on Wednesday night and jump out of bed early on Thursday morning. I wanted time to myself before my coffee with Jamie, and I wanted to be full of energy for our coffee meetup. But that didn't actually happen. I don't know what's wrong with me, but if I know in advance that I have an appointment in the morning, I can't sleep the night before. I went to bed super early, and I knew I would wake up naturally at the right time, but just to be sure, I set an alarm. And once I set that alarm, I was lost. After that, I simply could not fall asleep. It's like the knowledge that I must be awake by a certain time means that my brain won't switch off to allow me to sleep. Anyway, I couldn't sleep at all no matter how hard I tried, and I stumbled off to my meetup with Jamie, a bit of a wreck and a zombie from lack of sleep. My other idea was to record some of this event for Planet Doug. I was even thinking of sitting Jamie down, putting a microphone on him, and then asking him questions about his current trip. I thought it would be fun to hear all his stories about his latest trip and all the countries he had passed through to get to Malaysia. I know that when I first arrive in a new country, I am a talkative fellow. The first person I meet is either very lucky or very unlucky because they will get a story dump that could last 5 hours. I didn't know whether Jamie was the same, but it stood to reason that stories of the journey would be fresh in his mind and he would be chatty, and I thought it would be fun to record his stories. I've learned that when you are a YouTuber, you end up viewing the world through the lens of content. Everything is assessed in terms of whether it is content or not. It gets so bad that you end up rejecting activities if they can't be used as content. The problem is that time is in such short supply that I can't waste it. I'm happy to meet Daryl for breakfast because he's another YouTuber and he's comfortable being on camera. If we were meeting for breakfast and I can't record at least part of the breakfast for YouTube, then I have this feeling that I'm wasting valuable time. I have to be either editing and uploading video or shooting video. My time and life are divided into those two categories. And so, when Jamie and I made arrangements to meet for coffee, in the back of my mind, I was scheming for how I can bring along a GoPro and record it. If I didn't, it would feel a bit like I was wasting a morning. My idea in this case was to at least record a bit of our coffee gathering. I didn't absolutely have to record the whole thing or do a sit-down interview about his travels, but at the very least, I thought I could record the moment he arrives and use it in a video of a series of vignettes of my life here in Kuala Lumpur. The other night, a Planet Doug subscriber and supporter sent me a meal from a well-known local kopitiam, and I shot a few minutes of video of me enjoying that meal here in my hotel room. That one meal wasn't going to be an entire video, but I can't have a special meal delivered to my hotel room and not record it. And I figured I could record little bits and pieces of my life in short clips and then string them all together as a series of vignettes. And my coffee with Jamie could be one of those vignettes at the very least. My plan was to start recording video as I left my hotel and got on the monorail. I was going to just talk about stuff going on. This week has been a big week in terms of camera releases, for example. GoPro released 2 cameras, and I desperately wanted to talk about at least one of them. And I thought I could have my GoPro running as I made my way to KL Sentral, and I could talk about these new GoPro cameras and then record a bit of my coffee with Jamie. Unfortunately, I was exhausted. I mentioned that I hardly got any sleep or rest the night before, and my whole idea to happily just walk and talk with my GoPro didn't really come together. I did record a bit. I don't think I ever did find the time or opportunity to talk about the ridiculous new camera from GoPro, the Lit Hero, but I did talk about other things, such as my patented Chow Kit monorail travel hack. The thing is that from Chow Kit, the monorail goes directly to KL Sentral. But since this was the commuting hour, the monorail could be extremely busy and crowded. So my travel hack is to get on the monorail as it is going in the opposite direction to Titiwangsa. Titiwangsa station is only 1 stop away. It's the wrong way and waste time to go there, but the advantage is that I get on the train with all the people going to Titiwangsa. At Titiwangsa, they all get off, and I just stay on the now empty train and wait for it to just reverse direction and head toward KL Sentral. The platform at Titiwangsa is jammed with people waiting to rush on the train and grab a seat, but I'm already on the train, and I just take a seat on this completely empty train before the doors even open. And then I can ride in comfort all the way to KL Sentral with no stress of waiting on crowded platforms. It's a wonderful Planet Doug KL travel hack. But once the travel hack was done and I was sitting comfortably on the monorail, I just rested my GoPro in my lap and closed my eyes. I was so tired. When I arrived at KL Sentral, I walked around a bit to get my bearings. I thought perhaps Jamie would be relying on me to point the way to various LRT and MRT stations and things like that, and I refreshed my memory so that I knew where everything was relative to where his airport bus would be dropping him off. I got a message from Jamie saying that his airport bus had run into traffic and it would take another 45 minutes to get to KL Sentral. And that was fine with me. I decided to go down to the underground area where the airport buses load and unload passengers and wait there. I wanted to be right there when the bus arrived so that I could take video of the moment Jamie got off the bus. It was the perfect plan, except for how tired and disorganized I was. The first problem in my plan was that I realized I hadn't packed my other microphones. I had my own regular wireless microphone, but in all the fatigue and excitement, my other microphones had not made it into my knapsack. So even if I did want to get Jamie on camera talking about his travels, I couldn't. I couldn't put a mic on him. The second problem was that just before his bus arrived, I noticed that my GoPro battery was down to 1% power. Luckily, I caught it just in time, and I quickly got out a fresh battery from my orange pouch, where I keep all my fully charged batteries. But when I put the new battery into the GoPro, it read only 18% power. I guess I made a mistake and put an empty battery into the wrong pouch. But I figured 18% was enough to capture the moment Jamie got off the bus. I was tracking Jamie's bus using the WhatsApp Share Live Location feature. I was very proud of myself that I was able to teach Jamie about this feature. He had never used it before. And so I was all ready with my GoPro recording, and the bus was just about to pull up, and then the battery died and my GoPro shut down. This has been happening a lot lately, and I don't know why. I don't know what has changed exactly, but a battery will indicate it has around 20% remaining, which is plenty of time, but then the battery will go from 20% or 80 or 18% to 0% in seconds, and the GoPro shuts down. So I completely missed the key moment when Jamie got off the bus. I was frantically trying to put in a new battery, and Jamie got off the bus and then disappeared up the stairs. I had told him in a message that I was waiting on the platform right where the bus stopped underground, but I guess that information didn't fully register, so he didn't even look at me sitting on the bench. He walked right by me and went up the stairs. So now I'm frantically putting in a new battery and putting my GoPro and Media Mod back together, and then I go racing up the stairs to catch up with him. And that is a bit of a hopeless cause. Jamie is the ultimate walker, and under normal circumstances, I'd never be able to catch up with him. And fumbling with a GoPro, I'm even slower. But Jamie was slowing down and looking around trying to find me, not realizing that I was behind him, still making my way up the stairs. The end result is that I don't think I got any video of Jamie's arrival and our initial meeting at all. All my plans came tumbling down through my dumbness and some GoPro quirkiness. Unless I'm mistaken, I think this change in my GoPro's behavior started when I purchased two cheaper non-GoPro batteries. I wanted to save money, but I think these cheaper batteries don't have the same power ratings and thus confused my GoPro. And now when it tries to judge how much power is left in a battery, it gets confused. So that is a lesson for me that you should be consistent with your batteries. Just use GoPro Enduro batteries and that's it. Don't mix them with non-GoPro batteries. It confuses your poor camera when you do that. I was still thinking that maybe I could record my conversation with Jamie even though I didn't have an extra microphone to put on him. If I stand or sit close to him, maybe one microphone can pick up both our voices. But it had been a while since I'd seen Jamie, and I'd completely forgotten how soft-spoken he is. His voice has a deep register, and he speaks very quietly. The only way to pick up his voice is to have a separate microphone on him. I even have trouble hearing him with my own ears. There's no way my GoPro would pick up his voice. This was very similar to my travel companions on the mystery tour. Habib himself was relatively quiet, and his wife Shanaz is even quieter than Jamie, so it was impossible to record her voice regularly. You'd have to have a separate microphone on her. And then things got a bit more complicated because it turns out that Bill, the international big shot, was also joining us for coffee. I didn't know this, but Jamie had reached out to Bill, and Bill had also come to KL Sentral to be there for the big moment of Jamie's arrival. So even if I had my second Rode Wireless Go 2 microphone for Jamie, I didn't have a third one for Bill. So now things were getting too complicated, and I gave up on any idea to record any of our conversation. I said this on video, and then I shut down my GoPro just to enjoy a coffee and conversation with Bill and Jamie. Oddly enough, I did have that YouTuber feeling that now that I was just enjoying myself, I was wasting valuable time. It's like everything in my life has to do double duty. I want to do things that I find enjoyable and interesting, and I want to spend time with people that I like and find interesting, but then I want those people and activities to also be available and willing to be fodder for Planet Doug. It's a funny world I live in. As far as the videos go, I'm still working on the videos from the Malaysia Mystery Tour, but I'm almost done. I finished and uploaded 5 videos already, and the 6th video is a big one because I did several things in EPO in one day. I put all the video together into one timeline, and it ended up being almost 2 hours long. I guess that will be the extended cut. Once the extended cut was done and exported, I went back and cut out the 2 big experiences from that day and made a separate 30-minute video for each one. So now I have the extended cut, which covers perhaps 5 events, and then I have a single 30-minute video about visiting a famous cave temple and a single 30-minute video about visiting a tin mining museum. I will post the cave temple first, then the tin mining museum, and then after a few days I will post the extended cut. Perhaps only to Patreon first, and then make it public. Something like that. Unfortunately, I don't have a very fast internet connection here. Uploading is quite slow for both a mobile internet connection and the hotel's Wi-Fi, but I'm slowly getting it done. And that is about all my stories for now. I have to decide which day I'll be leaving for Port Dickson to get on my bicycle. That might be Monday, though I have an offer of a ride to Port Dickson on Wednesday. It might make sense to accept that offer of a ride. And today, I'm expecting another package to be delivered. This one will contain the new Ulanzi MT44 action camera tripod. I'm excited about that. It will be yet another tool in my video toolbox. And that is the end of my written journal update that I already posted to Patreon and to YouTube. Yeah, I ended up with the idea there that this new tripod was being delivered. That was yesterday, and I already talked about this on a Planet Doug video, but everything got all screwed up. I didn't get it. I'm hoping they're going to deliver it again today, but it was quite a funny story. My struggles with the modern world, because I guess the delivery guy showed up at the hotel, but he can't come into the hotel. It's one of those hotels with a locked door. Everybody has to be buzzed in, and so someone has to see them and buzz them in. But at that particular minute, the front desk clerk, he wasn't there. He was off doing some other work. So the Lazada delivery guy, he was pushing the bell and knocking on the door, but there was nobody there to let him in. And I guess he called me on the phone because they have my phone number, but I don't have the ringer turned on my phone because A, hardly anybody calls me, and B, I hate talking on the phone. I don't want to deal with phone calls, and all the phone calls I get for the most part are scam callers. So every time, even if I see my phone is ringing, it's just a weird number and I don't answer it because it's always just a marketing call, some kind of a scam call. So I don't bother. But then later in that day, well, just a few minutes later actually, I looked at my phone and I did see there was a missed call. And then I dismissed it originally. And then I thought, oh shoot, I'll bet you that was the delivery guy. So then I called that number back. And that was quite funny because I started the comment. I said, hello, did you just try to make and he cut me off and he just started shouting at me quite loudly. And he says, ring, ring, knock, knock, nobody there. And then he just hung up. That's all he said. Like I didn't even get a chance to even finish my sentence. And he started shouting at me about how he rang the doorbell and he knocked on the door and nobody was there. So he just gave up. It was kind of funny because I thought I had done everything wrong now, because I looked at my Lazada account and there was actually a notification on Lazada that said, the package will be delivered within the next hour. And I thought, oh, if I had seen that notification, I probably would have been down in the lobby waiting, you know, tail wagging, so excited for this delivery. But I missed the notification. But two things about that, which mean it wasn't my fault. One is that I turned on notifications for Lazada precisely because I knew I was getting a delivery. But then after I turned on notifications, for that reason, I was flooded with Lazada advertisements. Every time I turned around, my phone was beeping at me. And I'd look, oh, Lazada is trying to sell me something. Just constant, crazy, dumb, annoying notifications from Lazada. So I thought, well, I didn't sign up for this. So I turned off notifications for Lazada, not thinking, oh, that also turned off notifications about my delivery, right? They get you that way. You want delivery notifications because they're important, but once you turn on notifications, they're like, we can flood his phone with advertisements. And anyway, they just made me turn off notifications. Plus, even the notification that said, your package will be delivered in 1 hour, that notification came at 12:36. And the next notification that said delivery had failed came at 12:37. So there was only 1 minute from the announcement that their package is on its way to them saying delivery had failed because I was unreachable. So that made no sense at all. Even if I had seen the 12:36 notification, your package is coming within the hour, it would have been too late because he'd already come and gone before that notification had even arrived. Anyway, the whole system was ridiculous. And I wasn't pleased to get shouted at like that, but you know, you gotta cut the guy a break. He's probably frantic out there in the traffic and he gets rained on and he's probably got 100,000 packages to deliver. And I don't know, I did get the feeling that he didn't really try that hard. I got the feeling that one ring of the doorbell, look through the glass, nobody there, he's gone. Like he's not gonna stand there and wait. Though to his credit, he did phone me. So that was my bad, that I wasn't thinking about that. But again, I was thinking, I'm in a hotel and I've got a front desk. People are at the front desk and the front desk is situated such that they can actually see the door. So I thought, that's great. I don't have to worry about deliveries. I told them a delivery was coming and I got the proper address and I thought, oh, it's amazing. I can use the hotel address to get deliveries. This is gonna make my life so much better. So I ordered a couple of things and it just turned out. So that's why I wasn't listening. I wasn't really on top of the delivery because I thought it was all taken care of. It would just be dropped off at the front desk. And then whenever I go down there, it'll be down there waiting for me. But no, I should have been on top of it. And I realize now, I should have used one of the Lazada pickup points. I don't know how that works. I've never used it before, but I see more and more people in the world using this, especially people that are traveling. And it's so convenient. If I ever order something else, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'll just say, I'll choose the option, deliver it to this locker. I guess Lazada has special lockers around the city, probably in MRT stations. I've never seen one. You'd think I'd see one somewhere, but I've never seen one of these pickup centers. But then they can just send me a notification, oh, your package has arrived and it's in the locker, and then I can make the trip to go there and get it. And I far prefer that. It's more convenient to have them deliver it to my home, my hotel, but I don't need all the stress of I gotta be there waiting and oh, you can't get in the hotel. And they did tell me on Lazada, one delivery attempt has failed. You get two more attempts, and then you're cut off, right? It's a bit like trying to get into a secure vault and you enter the code incorrectly 3 times and that's it. You know, then the whole thing gets shut down and the police show up and you've been arrested. But anyway, so if I do order something else, I'll just have it delivered to a locker. Try that out. Anything else in the way of update news? Well, I was talking in that written journal update about my plans to go to Port Dickson to get my bicycle to start riding, and my departure from KL keeps getting delayed. I keep picking a date, and then I have another reason to postpone that date. For example, waiting for these packages to arrive, Jamie arriving, and then I got an offer from KY, my Port Dickson KL friend, and KY said he's driving to Port Dickson on Wednesday, October 1st. So yeah, if you want to wait until October 1st, you can hop in the car and I can drive you to Port Dickson. And that's a hard offer to resist, particularly because my bicycle is at KY's mother's house. That's where it's in storage. So going there with him would make retrieving my bicycle a bit smoother, a bit easier. So then I was thinking, okay, I can go on Wednesday. But then the people that I went on the mystery car tour, the Malaysia mystery tour, Habib and Shanaz, they've been in Japan for the past 9 days. They're flying back to KL tomorrow. So that's another reason to delay by a day or two. I can meet them again tomorrow. And they're friends with Daryl as well, and then maybe we can arrange for the four of us to get together for dinner or something. One of the good Pakistani restaurants here in Chowkit. So keep having more and more reasons to postpone my departure. And that got me thinking about, I talked about in that journal update, about how my 90 days isn't 90 days anymore. It's now more like 45 days left on my social visit pass. And then you start worrying about, well, when will my social visit pass expire? Like if I ride my bike from Port Dickson down to Malacca, spend a week there, go to Johor Bahru, spend a week there, and now I'm cycling up the coast. Maybe I'm like a third of the way up the coast or halfway up the coast, and then my visit pass expires. I've got to leave the country. And if I'm in the middle of nowhere, it's like, okay, that's not a convenient place from which to leave the country, unless I'm a very good swimmer and I swim across the ocean. So then I started thinking, well, I have no trouble slowing down. So I thought, okay, I can back up a little bit, slow down a little bit, and then I can arrange things such that I do a more leisurely journey from here to Port Dickson to Malacca, all along the coast, maybe into the interior a little bit. And then I can be in Johor Bahru around November 13th when my social visit pass expires, and then I can cross into Singapore, stay there for a day or two, plan a Doug adventures in Singapore, and then go back out and into Malaysia, hopefully with a fresh 90-day, please, Malaysian immigration, one more fresh 90-day social visit pass, and then I have a full 90 days. I'm already on the road, I'm on my bicycle, and then I can ride through the rest of Malaysia within that time frame. The American Hobo did that. He entered Malaysia on his bicycle from Thailand, and then he traveled through Malaysia for 90 days, well, actually 60 days, and he got down to Johor Bahru. He still had 30 days on his Malaysian social visit pass, but he thought, well, since I'm in Johor Bahru and Singapore is right there, why don't I do this now? Like instead of waiting, well, he just hopped across the border on a day trip into Singapore for 1 day. He didn't even spend the night, came back in, and he had a fresh 90-day social visit pass, which means he lost 30 days on his first one. He didn't use them up, but it was more convenient to do it that way. So that's kind of where my mind is now. Like I don't even have to go Malacca, Johor Bahru. I can sort of go Malacca, and then at some point, kind of go inland up into the hills and the mountains and circle around, and planning on being near the Singapore border around November 13th, and then enter that way anyway. You got to think about these things, and I'm slowly making plans. So that's what has been on my mind. I got together with Jamie yesterday. Again, he came down to the Chowkit area. Walked here, of course. Jamie is another famous walker. Everybody I know, it seems, just walks like crazy, except for Daryl. He's a driver. He drives. But Jamie and Jason from Australia, who was here recently, walking 29 kilometers a day. But anyway, Jamie, he walked all the way to Chowkit from like beyond the Pudu, like sunwave velocity way over there, and he walked all the way here to Chow Kit, and we went out walking around, had a chendol. He bought some bananas and things here in Chow Kit. It's such a great neighborhood to hang out in. And we're having another YouTuber adjacent get together tomorrow morning here in Chow Kit. So it's going to be me and Jamie and the international big shot Bill, Daryl, maybe expat Pete. I haven't heard back from him. And we're all meeting at a restaurant here in Chow Kit for breakfast. So I'm looking for, brunch. Looking forward to that. So yeah, I think that is the end of my update for now. I'll end it right there. Of course, I could keep talking, but I think that's everything important that's going on right now. I'm still working on the Malaysia mystery tour videos. I have one more to finish, video number 7. That should be a relatively simple one. It's only about driving from Ipoh back to KL. It's kind of the end of the tour, basically. And all we didn't do anything along the way, so that should be a relatively simple video. And I feel a little bit bad because I've been so busy, I haven't tackled replying to comments. So I'm a little bit out of touch with people right now. So today and tomorrow I need to dive back in to YouTube and go back up 5 or 6 videos and kind of read through all the comments and reply to people and answer questions. So I have to set aside some time to do that, and then edit video number 7, and then I should be more or less caught up with my Planet Doug YouTube life. Had an amazing meal last night, by the way. A Planet Doug subscriber and supporter sent me a meal here, another meal from the Oriental Kopitiam, and this one was a big delivery. There was like Hainanese chicken rice, a whole meal with soup and all the special sauces you get with Hainanese chicken rice. Really, really good. Bean sprouts with the all kinds of good stuff. And then there was a whole second meal of, oh boy, I forgot the name of it now. It was chicken and noodles or rice. I think they were noodles. But I didn't even have that. I ate one of the meals last night, and the second meal is still here. I'm going to have it for breakfast once I finish recording that. But yeah, that was pretty amazing. I'll put some pictures up here, and you can see the meal that I'm talking about. I shot a little bit of video of me eating that meal, though I was actually more focused on the packaging, because that's pretty incredible. Like, these meals are complex. There's so many parts. You got like iced cham, and then the soup, and all the different meals. Each one comes with lots of little sauces and sambal, and then they have to pack it all up together so none of it spills. It's all sealed, triple sealed, double sealed, quadruple sealed. So like breaking into your meal is like breaking into Fort Knox. And you got to be very careful as you're opening everything, because you put too much pressure on the lid and then it gives, and everything goes flying. And the last thing I wanted was several ounces of sambal flung all across the room, right? So yeah, I was just like carefully using my scissors, unpacking, lifting all the lids. It was like a Christmas present. You're opening all of these packages and seeing what's inside them. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I got 2 big meals out of that, so that's pretty cool. All right, that's it. Shutting down for now, and as always, see you on the Planet Doug Patreon. See you on the YouTube Planet Doug post page for updates, things like that. See you on Planet Doug for my travel videos or walk and talk videos. And see you here again, I hope, on Planet Doug behind the scenes for my sit down. I was going to say sit down walk and talk videos, but no, it's like a sit and talk videos, sort of behind the scenes updates and stories. You can find me all over the place these days. I'll see you at one of those places.